Welcome back to Snackcast.
Welcome.
So we left off last time talking about epigenetics, epi being above, beyond, and over, your genetic coding being your DNA, right, which the DNA kind of determines what color eyes you're going to have, what color hair you're going to have, arguably how tall you'll be, potentially.
The hard
of course, the height can be affected by epigenetics. So the 7 epigenetics we discussed were environment, medication/drugs, diet, age, nutritional deficiency, stress, exercise. But the number one most powerful, this is where we left off, they discovered was thoughts.
So what's between your two ears can and will kill you.
Exactly.
So what specifically about thoughts? Are we talking about manifestation here? Are we talking about depression, anxiety, stress? What's going on?
I think yes, and yes.
Okay.
I think it's kind of all of that. So, maybe the first element of thoughts is in that depression, anxiety, positivity mindset. I think we all have it a little bit different, right? Mm-hmm. Some of us are worry warts. Some of us are like, woo, fly by the seat of my pants, right? So I think a lot of that is kind of just ingrained as to who we are as individuals, or maybe what our life experiences were. But it kind of boils down to maybe optimism versus pessimism.
And what we're talking specifically about here is the book Mind Over Medicine, right?
Yes.
And Lissa Rankin's.
I said her name wrong last time. I think I said Lisa.
And it's Lissa like Melissa.
Right.
But it's not. It's Lissa. But anyway, and she talks about this specifically and just what's going on inside the brain and how your thoughts can heal you and or hurt you.
Right. So I think we left off talking a little bit about placebo effect and some of the studies they've done.
And the nocebo effect, right?
And the nocebo, where, sample groups, they were either given a placebo and they still experience some measure of healing. And in the nocebo, it kind of talked about the negative connotations we may experience.
So like a doctor comes to you and says, hey, you're terminal and you got nothing.
Actually, that's medical hexing.
Medical hexing.
The nocebo was, hey, we're going to give you this pill and it's going to make you nauseous. And it was a sugar pill. But 30 minutes later, you're like, oh, my stomach's hurting. You convinced yourself that was going to be the outcome, the negative outcome. And it's really difficult. I guess they have a hard time studying the nocebo effect because no one wants to undertake research
to be the sugar pill.
No, whose intent is to make people feel bad.
Oh, true.
Like, I'm going to run an experiment that's going to make you feel nauseous. It's like researchers want to help you not feel nauseous, not
right.
And I think a lot of that ties back to the money behind it and the people with the money, whether it's government, university, private,
big pharma,
donor. They don't want to be part of, big pharma. They definitely don't want to understand the nocebo and placebo effect.
So medical hexing.
Medical hexing, to your point, is when you go see your doctor and he says something like it's inoperable, it's terminal, it's incurable. And, their job is to give you all of the information so that you can make decisions with their help on your own health care. But the usage of that negative language, they're starting to believe may cause a negative impact with the mind that causes negative impacts with outcomes.
Got it.
So probably the most apparent one that I remember was the guy's diagnosed with cancer and he dies 2 weeks later. And in the autopsy, they find very little, not what they thought was in there. There was cancer, but it was very little.
So stress really killed the man.
Yeah. And even his doctor, I guess, to this day, felt crushed, I think was the language she used. Demoralized, but felt like he had really kind of maybe pushed the guy over the edge that really wasn't there.
And she talks about that quite a bit, is carrying relationships with a physician, and it goes just deeper than having a relationship with a physician. It's in that, like, someone who believes in your outcome and that you are capable of doing this and getting through this, having that support group, whether it's the doctors and nurses and everybody there, that can push you to healing.
Yeah, it's the difference in the doctor that tells you about the 50% who don't make it versus the doctor who focuses on the 50% that did. And
right.
It goes, this is how we get you into this 50th, whatever the percentage is.
And I'm not picking on, I am kind of picking on the medical industry right now, but it's become such a profit center that, literally the doctor walks by your room. If they even stop in nowadays in the hospital and see the patient, it's often a nurse practitioner or someone like that who's actually doing the quote unquote care, and they're signing off on it. Right?
They never look up from
They
the
never
chart.
even see the patient, and there's such a scientific approach that this is the pill you're going to get, or this is a treatment plan that you're going to get, and they ignore everything else behind it, everything from diet and exercise and meditation and
family history
and love. And I mean, it's like, and she goes into it. I don't want to break that out yet, but Lissa goes into it a little bit about that, just how important relationships are. And some of the questions that the doctor should be asking is how is this toxic relationship that you're in right now having a dramatic effect on your health?
Yeah.
What are the stressors in your life that you're going through right now? What's the root cause of this? Yes, I can give you a pill and you'll instantly feel better, but what are the root causes of some of this illness? And
we don't look at health.
We don't ask. We don't care. And I think that's the big one, right? The big C word is the care. And unfortunately, too many people in the medical industry just don't care anymore.
Yeah. I think that's maybe a separate podcast one day, the consolidation of healthcare.
And the more corporations that keep buying up corporations, it's all about the dollar, right?
Yeah, there's no independent doctors barely anymore.
No, I mean, go find who's your family physician, who made house calls. Right? Yeah. I mean, that came out and saw you and saw your family environment and saw your dog and saw your...
Sounds like this is a sensitive subject to you.
Oh, yeah. And for a lot of reasons. And medicine's just gone to the piss. If I can say that on StatCast.
Yeah. You can. We're not regulated by the FCC.
Right.
Yet.
So, all right. I think what we need to... So we got the basics, all right, of what's in your head, right? And why is this so important? I think for the next one, what we do is we start to break it down of all right, if you are under these things, and there is a medical scientific approach to this whole thing, but what are some of the things that you need to be looking at as stress responses is what she specifically calls them, and how can you reduce these stress responses in your life?
Giddy up.
We'll do that for the next one.
Good way to close.
Yeah.
All right. So questions, comments, concerns, email us at snackcast@yes.fit.
Stay moving.
See ya.